It's time for a little comedy, a little content, and a lot of conversation. It's the Geno Jones Show, exclusively right here on YouTube. And now here's your host, Geno Jones.
It's showtime. What's happening, everybody? Showtime. Okay, showtime on CP time. Just a little bit. I got it. Hey, it's Friday. Wait a minute, hold on. Not Friday. It is Friday. Yay! Like, yay! It is Friday. Yay! The Geno Jones Show. I come to you live Monday through Friday, 6:30 p.m. Eastern, 5:30 p.m. in Chicago, 3:30 p.m. out on the West Coast, out in Los Angeles, or anywhere on the West Coast. Please. Now, they say like, share, and subscribe. I'm going to remix that. Please subscribe to my channel. Please tell everybody you know, all your friends, all your families, all your co-workers, all your church members, all your fraternity and sorority brothers and sisters, your enemies, folks you don't like, strangers, aliens. I don't give a damn. Tell them to subscribe. Please subscribe to the Geno Jones channel. They'll be glad that they did. And share all these episodes. You can share the episodes. You can copy and paste the link. Tag these episodes. You can screen grab some of the show, a minute or two. You could put it up on TikTok for my young people. TikTok your boy. Instagram, Triller, Twitter, Facebook. Create these viral moments, ladies and gentlemen. And shout out to all my entrepreneurs and business people. If you'd like to be a sponsor or advertise, I'd love to have you as part of the Geno Jones family. If you're looking for the ultimate pitchman or brand ambassador, I'm the king, not the king. I'm the king, a pitchman. Geno Jones Show, Geno Jones Show at Gmail. No the. All right, listen, we're going to get right into it. So normally I do a monologue, but man, I felt like Patrick Mahomes on the line of scrimmage. I had to call an audible because so much is jumping off. So on Fridays, my cohort in good trouble, my cohort in good crime, ladies and gentlemen, multimedia personality star, radio, television, educator, entrepreneur, businesswoman, just super talented. One of my favorite people on the planet. Bring out the best in your boy, and when we get together, it's like magic. Fridays is funny, but we want to just make it, we're just going to make it fabulous because we're going to cover a whole lot of stuff. Well, let's just bring on Cameron. Damn it, let's just stop talking about it. Ladies and gentlemen, there she goes, the one and only Miss Keela Carson. What up, Keela Carson?
What up, G? You were talking about that athlete. I'm going like this, and you said scrimmage. I was like, is that football?
Yeah,
I'm doing boxing.
I got that covered too now. I got that covered. I'm gonna hit you with that Ali.
You know I know
I hit you with
nothing
that Ali.
about sports.
Well, hey, listen, you right there in Detroit, Michigan, the legendary Kronk Gym.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
they're moving it. It was in the city, and they moved it out in the suburbs somewhere.
Yeah, and so people are like,
Did
but
the family, I guess, I'm sure the family had Emmanuel Stewart's legendary
yeah,
boxing trainer. They had some say in this. I hope. I assume.
yeah. I mean, listen. I hope that we get our senses together and do the right thing and be in the city of Detroit
Yeah.
because that's where it needs to be.
Thank you.
That is what we know. I mean, I don't know a whole lot about boxing, but the big names. But it was a place for many people who wanted to train in the sport,
Tommy
men and women.
Tommy Hearns,
Actually,
legendary
yeah.
gym.
Oh yeah.
You know, when I think
Come on.
of Kronk Gym, I think of
Yeah.
so many fighters, but the first
Yes.
name is the legendary Tommy Hearns. So
Tommy Hearns, that was
the hitman.
he kind of put the gym in the stratosphere.
Yeah, he did.
His presence.
Right.
We had always known of it,
Right.
but when Tommy Hearns started training there and then went on to become a championship
Right.
fighter,
Right.
the gym
The
just
Kronk
became associated synonymous with the sport.
Yes. Tommy
So
King.
yeah, having it in the suburbs is like,
Really?
who thought what?
Right.
No.
That's like Detroit without 8 Mile. It's like how
Right.
we gonna do that?
Yeah. Where they do that at?
Right. That would be like Chicago without Harold's Chicken or Garrett's Popcorn. It's like we doing
Oh, I know the popcorn. Yeah.
Everybody know that Garrett's Popcorn.
Baby.
And just about everybody, if they haven't had Harold's, they know about the legendary Harold's Fried Chicken. Oh yeah, that's
Oh, the fried chicken. Oh,
oh
okay,
yeah,
I'm not. So I've had the
yeah.
popcorn, haven't had the fried
All
chicken.
right, well,
But if the fried chicken is anything like the
yeah,
popcorn,
yeah, yeah. You trust me. Yeah, Harold's. Yeah, absolutely. So I got you. I'm gonna take you by the Harold's. But
okay,
I hear like there's a new location for like the Harold's because there was like one. It was like a franchise, and it was started by a black man named Harold's in Chicago.
okay,
But there was like this one spot that had like the best. But
yeah,
apparently that location is moved because I'm back and forth, but I haven't lived back home since like the mid '90s, right before I came
right,
to Detroit. So
right.
anyway, I digress, ladies and gentlemen. So we calling an audible today because Key, I need you on camera with me.
All right,
Now, I don't think that you've seen it because we talked just briefly before you came on camera.
right.
But guess what I got to see before I came on camera today? Because I heard so much talk about it. So
Okay,
I needed to lay eyes on it. I wanted to
okay.
see for myself. So guess what
Well,
I got a chance to look at today or this afternoon?
it wasn't no nudes or nothing. What?
Hey, my mother's watching. Your mother's
Okay.
watching. Our mother's watching the show.
Hi,
No,
mom.
she be like, my baby. We gonna
Okay, so
move
what
with
did you
this,
see,
right?
Gino?
I saw
What did you see?
this much talked about Dave Chappelle, his final comedy special on Netflix, The
Yeah.
Closer. And
Okay, I haven't seen it, so okay, we'll help each other. I mean, I know about the Detroit connection, but you go ahead.
yes, so first of all, it was, and I didn't know that until I watched it. So he filmed
Yeah.
it in Detroit. Keeler said tickets was like $100,000.
I didn't say 100,000. I said 100 gajillion.
Oh wow,
There's
boy.
a big. There's a lot of zeros after the gajillion.
100 gazillion. Gee, I don't even.
Maybe
Wait a minute, Keith. How many zeros after that first number is that one?
that meaning,
That many.
that part, that meaning.
Infinity.
We work. We have decent careers,
All
and
right.
we were all like, "Ooh, guess we won't be going to that."
He was like,
That's gonna be a Netflix and chill night because that's too much money.
it
I
was
mean, it was so much money that
that much.
a
That
lot of
much.
people were like, "What?"
Right. It's like I got to hit the Powerball to Mega Millions to buy a damn ticket.
Yeah. Listen,
Wait a
I
minute.
be-
Key, they probably had like tents outside, like banks and lending institutions.
okay,
You could get a loan like a mortgage. Hey, you want to see
right.
that? We got interest rates, 3% on this loan to buy these tickets to see Dave Chappelle.
I got these applications.
Yes, that's right.
I got these credit apps.
Wait, got a 600 or a 580 credit score? We got a loan for you too
No
now.
problem. No problem.
Finance
25% interest
Right,
rate.
there you go. Finance your tickets to see Dave Chappelle live. Listen, we joking, but one day somebody will probably do something like that.
Right. Mortgage your house right here.
Right. You got equity in your house? Hey, come on over here with that equity. We got you.
We got you.
Come on, get these tickets. Wait, hey,
And listen, Gino, I bet you if the camera pan to the audience, I bet you there'll be just little sprinkles of brown sugar
well, you know
out
what,
there.
Key? Now listen, come on now. That's the D. That's your home now. You know, brothers and sisters gonna represent, and y'all did. Cause normally I'm here. Normally in the front row, it's like all vanilla. You don't see no chocolate at all. It's like raisins and oatmeal. But it was Chocolate City up there in the D. Now y'all represent.
Well, okay, I will say that because Dave knew that he would have to comp some tickets to our good city folk. Um, but they know they didn't pay for them tickets.
Well, let me just say this. I don't know how many people use the stimulus money that they got. You know, I don't know how many. I don't know how many of those.
PPP.
I was gonna say I don't know how many of those people use some of that PPP loan money, but as a matter
A
of fact,
whole lot.
the whole loan. Probably they needed the whole loan to buy one ticket or two,
Right.
because folks is up in the front row.
I went to jail. I went to jail for Dave Chappelle.
Right. Bank fraud. But Dave was funny. Dude was funny. He ain't putting that on my books yet, but he was funny as hell.
So tell me about it.
All right, so The Closer. You know, there's been a lot of talk, especially from the LGBTQ community, saying he was real transphobic. So
Yeah.
let me start off by saying this. Wow, Dave Chappelle is a comic genius.
Genius.
He really is. Let me just from the door. Let me walk in the door and just put that over here. He is a comic genius, and his timing is impeccable, and he's an intelligent brother. And I love two things I like about him. He's a storyteller, and that's what I do.
Yes.
I'm a storyteller.
Yes.
And two is that it's intelligent humor. Now, you might not agree with it, and I can see how some people may find it offensive or that he's like punching down as he's been accused of. But you can tell that the brother's well-read, and he's smart. He's just not a dumb, it ain't, everything ain't MF, BH, bitch, ho, I'm, effing it ain't, that ain't, he don't.
Right.
And I ain't throwing
Well, that
shade.
never was Dave Chappelle.
Right. And I'm not throwing shade. Every comedians are like actors, like media personalities. It's like food, different styles, different tastes. Everybody don't do the same thing.
And there are a few comics, Geno, in that category. You have your Dave Chappelle's, you have your Eddie Griffins, you have your even. I know people struggle with Cat, but Cat is more of on the intellectual side. Chris Rock,
Yeah, Cat is like, he would be, I guess, so here's a crazy analogy that just popped in my head. He's like the jailhouse lawyer. Cat like the brother, he didn't go to law school, but it sounded like he went to law school because he got, when he was in the joint, he read all the damn law books. So he could pass the bar, but he was in the joint. But he read all the law books, so he coming out there. You would think it's like, man, dude, this
and smoking a joint,
right?
And smoking a joint
with his perm, weed, with the fur coat. That's what Detroit, Chicago would love him because he's still pimped out. He gonna have his big fur coat. He gonna have a couple women. I love Cat. Cat's a good dude, but he is. But Chappelle is like Pryor, Lenny Bruce, Dick Gregory, because a lot of folks don't realize. A lot of people, like when Dick Gregory was doing the whole Dick Gregory diet, like in the late 80s,
yeah, that was years later.
Y'all missed it because I was too young. I had to go back and study and look. Dick Gregory, like in his prime, like before we was born, like in the early 60s or the 50s, when he had the little black suit on and a little skinny black tie and a white shirt and had his little, we said back in the day, a square, had a cigarette. Man, Dick Gregory was a beast.
Yeah, he was Paul Mooney before Paul Mooney.
Yes. And it's funny that you said Paul Mooney, because after I watched it and it hit me, I said, Dave is kind of like, and Paul Mooney was intellectual, but Paul Mooney was really like, I don't give a F. I don't give a I don't give a uck.
Right.
But Dave, I guess they called it for a reason, because one of the first things he said, Key, he said, all right, listen, this is my last special for a minute. This is my last one. This is his last one apparently with Netflix. He said, y'all ain't gonna see me for a while.
Until they give him some more money, but go on.
Well, I see why they called it the closer. Because he didn't give a damn. It was almost like he didn't even have to write this monologue or write this special, because it was just like he was just getting some stuff off his chest.
He purged.
Yeah. But he was kind of really in one lane. But he didn't spare anybody. He didn't spare his own folks, black folks. He had one.
He never does.
I don't want to ruin it for everybody, but
don't do it, Geno, because I'm gonna watch it tonight.
Okay. All right,
now you got me all
okay.
Hyped
Let
up.
me just say this. He will tell you about the space Jews. So,
okay.
So I'll leave it. So you go watch it, and you'll see. You'll find out. You'll learn about the space Jews. I didn't know about them either.
I don't know about them, but okay. You learn something every day.
Right. And then he really dove in deep. I mean, he dived in the deep end. Because there's been, I guess, a lot of controversy. The LGBTQ community felt that he's really punched down, and that he picks on a marginalized community. Now he did a joke about the rapper DaBaby. I don't want to give away all the jokes because I don't want to ruin it for you.
Yeah,
but one of the he tried to point out in irony was that Now, many people probably know, some don't know. The baby shot a kid who allegedly was trying to rob him, shot him and killed him in a Walmart in North Carolina. The dude tried to rob the baby allegedly because he got off. It was a self-defense. And in North Carolina, like Texas, and we're gonna get into the second story later, is and I'm in the South, in South Carolina.
You can carry, yeah.
You're right. Stand your ground laws.
Yeah, that's right.
Do they have stand your? I bet Michigan has stand your ground too. They don't.
Not that I know of.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Okay. You know what? I'll have to check into that because if they did, a lot of folks would be dead. So I don't think we have that.
That's the dangerous part of standing your ground. First time a lot of people heard about the stand your ground law was when Trayvon Martin was murdered by a crazy dude down there, down in Florida.
Yeah, that guy.
Right, and that was his excuse. Stand your ground. It's like, okay, dude, standing your ground, and the dude got Skittles and iced tea and no weapon. But I digress. That's another story.
Right.
So he did a joke. It was like, okay, basically, folks weren't tripping when the baby shot and killed this dude in Walmart. But I'm saying something about, gays, lesbians, queer, transgender, the whole 9 yards, then there's a problem.
Right.
And the point, this is just my take. He was trying to point out hypocrisy, and he mentioned how he felt, because he said his issue wasn't with like the gay community. He said it was with white folks. And he said he's seen where like a lot of these powerful white gays, all of a sudden, when things don't go their way, then all of a sudden they kind of lean on the fact, well, wait a minute, you're picking on an oppressed community, then it's convenient. But then when it's not convenient to be gay, then all of a sudden they become white again. They have this dual. So
yeah, it's the whole cancel culture. Because that still fits up under that umbrella,
right?
Where a group gets, pissed with another group or a celebrity, a person, or what have you, and they campaign to just
explain it. Yep, and to explain it better. In all fairness, because he used the same analogy about when it came to because he called himself a feminist, and he talked about the women's movement. But the fact was, like when the women's movement really first started at the beginning of the 1900s, that white women weren't checking for black women. As a matter of fact,
no, they weren't.
He told the joke about Sojourner Truth that they didn't want her to speak, but he said, sister's gonna speak anyway. Damn it! It's like, look, I'm a woman and I got something to say. So,
as a matter of fact, you talk about the 20s. I mean, even moving up into where we talk about Shirley Chisholm and the women's rights movement taking place right up against, with the blacks fighting for their rights. That is why the feminist women's movement struggled, because they couldn't figure out, are we just talking about women, or can gay women be in this? Can black women be in it?
Right.
And it was a mess.
And being a black woman, that especially, I'm just thinking about like when I was a kid, the mid late 60s or 70s, the whole feminist movement, and you saw the commercials. I think was the Virginia Slims commercial. You saw white women, and the Phyllis Schlafly's and all that. You never saw any black woman as the face of like the women's feminist movement. You saw young white women, and I've heard many black women, and I can see I probably should shut the hell up because you are a black woman, but just seeing it and hearing like the black women in my family say like, these women don't represent me. They're not speaking for me. They're not speaking to, and they never addressed. They talked about sexism and misogyny and patriarchy, but they didn't acknowledge the racism even within that movement. And Dave Chappelle was talking about that, and even in the LGBTQ community, he's like, wait a minute, you got folks that's racist. You got racists that's in the LGBTQ community. So
Oh,
how you gonna be oppressed?
oh,
How you gonna be oppressed? And then you want to
listen.
oppress when it comes to black folks. You want to be as racist as you want to, but you don't want to be called out on that. But if somebody
It,
says something about your sexuality, then all of a sudden, your panties is up in a bunch. And I'm paraphrasing what he said.
I know.
He didn't say that verbatim,
Right.
but that was
But
the gist of it.
you mentioned, um, listen, if you ask many black or Hispanic or other minority groups that are a part of the LGBTQ plus
Yes, IA.
community,
I forgot. I'm sorry. So many
right?
Q's.
You got plus. They have said for years that, oh no, there is many racists in that community as there are in their larger white community,
Yep.
which is shocking. Which is shocking.
Thank you, Key.
When you talk about being marginalized, yet you marginalize, it's like, what kind of insanity is that? And listen, it wasn't until the 9 to 5, so the movie 9 to
I
5.
remember.
Well, 9 to 5 is actually more than just a movie. The name of the movie is taken from the movement to get women equal pay on the jobs, and that is the movement that actually united black women, white women,
Okay.
gay women, women of all walks of life
Right.
as one unit, because everybody wants to get paid. And the 9 to 5 movement, because that's the number of the bill is
Nine
nine
to five.
to five,
Okay. All
right?
right.
9 to 5, and but that's what really united women, not the women's movement. Yeah, because they couldn't figure it out,
Right.
because they said, listen, we got one shot at this. If we go to Washington, are we going to fight to be black? Are we fighting to be gay? Are we fighting to? I mean, we need one message here because we got one shot.
Right. And the interesting
So
thing
Dave is
is,
right.
yeah. Now, there's been a lot of talk about, okay, Dave. Most of the people saw it, thought it was funny. His fans loved it. Very few people I've heard over the last 48 hours didn't find it funny. But what a lot of people are pointing out, it was that, yo, Dave, dude, you spent over an hour talking about this LGBT community. It's like, dude, they
How
must
long
have
is it?
triggered you. It's a little over an hour.
Okay.
And probably like 90 out of that hour, if let's put it this way, I don't have the exact time, but let's just say if it's an hour and 15 minutes, probably maybe an hour and 10. He is like,
Oh.
yeah.
Okay.
He just sat on that stoop. It's like, and one more thing,
Right.
and he talked about, because I guess the transgender community is really coming after him now and saying that he's punching down.
But the transgender community is a unique body within the LGBTQ community.
It is.
Plus, because the LBGT, not the T, the LBG, skip the T, plus, transgenders are not even liked within that community.
It's funny you say that, Keith. I was listening today, just kind of monitoring, listening around, and I heard there was a gay dude, a black guy, who I heard him on the radio. I've heard him on from time to time, and he said, "Listen," he said, "I'm part of this community, but I don't completely." He can empathize with their plight, but he said, "I don't really completely understand, because like their issues." Their oppression is a little different than his. Now, these were his words, I'm paraphrasing. So I was like, but it makes sense, because we just talked about within that LGBTQ community, you have black people, people of color, you got powerful white men. Now, Dave works in an industry where there are a lot of powerful white, male, gay men and women.
All day.
And I don't know if he's been, I don't know if they've been giving him the blues and the flux. He mentioned Kevin Hart and how they came for Kevin after, they kind of went back in Kevin's Twitter feed and videos like 10
Right.
years early, and he was doing some stuff. And he was like, that should have never happened, and that's wrong. So you could tell that he was getting some stuff off his chest. It was some jokes sprinkled in there, but it was almost like he was talking to his therapist because he was getting some stuff off his chest.
You know what, Gino? You know what I think is really going on, and I mean, we probably need to go ahead and just call a thing a thing. And I think it's just the day of reckoning for all of us because all of us have said stuff.
Yes.
All of us have done, and so um, no, I know Dave doesn't want to be vilified, but it's not Dave. It's not like Dave had a post from 20 years ago. Dave do whole comedy specials about gay folk, and and jokes. So what I'm saying is that, um, listen, we all say things. It's the same thing as if we go back into somebody's Twitter feed that's Caucasian and they said something about a black person or they said something about a Jewish person. So the day of reckoning has come for all of us, and we all have to watch what we say.
It's funny you mentioned that. Let me piggyback right on what you just said. And I just saw this right before I came on camera, and I hadn't heard this story. So John Gruden is the head football coach of the Las Vegas Raiders. So now, about 10 years ago, he was in Tampa Bay, actually. He won a Super Bowl in Tampa Bay. Or 2011. So this was the year that there was a strike or work stoppage in the NFL. So the bottom line was John Gruden is pissed off because, he want to play football. He's trying to win games. And the players union, which is a black guy named DeMar Smith, was obviously, he is supporting the players. That's his job. He's the head of the players union. He's leading this work stoppage. And Gruden's pissed off and said he got lips that look like Michelin tires.
Oh.
Now, DeMar Smith is a black man, brown-skinned brother, and he does have some soup coolers. I won't say the size of Michelin tires.
So do I. So go on.
So I don't have Michelin tires, but I probably got them little, the little tricycle tires.
Right.
The little thick tires, the little thick tires on the back. I got, yeah. So I would have the tricycle tire lips.
Right, but that is a characteristic that is very closely related to African Americans. Knows as well. Go on.
Right. And so coming from a white man, he caught flack.
Of course.
And the NFL was like, hey, we don't tolerate this. He apologized. Apparently, DeMar Smith ain't feeling him because he said, I've tried to call him and he wouldn't take my calls. He said, no, because he probably want to whoop your ass. He want to hit you in the mouth so your lips will look like Michelin tires.
Right. So I'm just saying Dave has to be sympathetic to the fact that people do have feelings. And sometimes, even though you're just joking, you're being lighthearted. Somebody talking about my big lips, depending on what day it is, the context, I might have a problem and some feelings about it. And so.
No, here, because you just talked about being empathetic. And the reason I wanted to jump in on that word, because at the very end of his show, he talked about empathy. And he said empathy was, he said it's not black or gay. He said empathy is bisexual, which he meant empathy goes both ways. Now, yeah, which I agree. But in all fairness, because I got a chance to listen to some people who were transgender, and they made a valid point. And especially when we talk about, because, we just talked about earlier, Key, when it came to the women's movement and the feminist movement, the intersectionality. Now, that's the new term in 2020, 2021. Intersectionality just means like to where you have the feminist movement and race when they cross.
They converge.
So in the intersectionality of the transgender movement, the black trans women are being killed at the highest rates. Highest rates. It's really a crisis. And I heard some people talking about some transgender women saying, listen, when somebody that's got that kind of platform and megaphone and popularity, when they kind of make fun or make trivialize, make light of the transgender community, transgender women get killed. They die.
Yeah.
So that's a good point. And because I was thinking,
It's the same thing as the insurrection.
thank you.
When your leader influences you and says stuff happens. Words matter.
And it's tricky. And you make the best point, Key. It's so tricky because there's so many things that were just okay, celebrated, including bullying, which you're about to get into that real soon on the show, that were just, bullies were celebrated. Even today, I mean, you look at YouTube or TikTok and you see, somebody, he got knocked the F out, and folks get all amped. So it's like we celebrate the bully and not the victim. And there's a sickness there. So it's easy. Like that's why I empathize with women. That's why I've been, when it comes to domestic violence, sexual violence, and when it comes to women's reproductive rights. Now, okay, I was raised in a house full of women, my grandmother, my mother, my two sisters, just me and my grandfather. So I was able to, my mother could speak to me in a woman's voice. She could give me the perspective of a woman, and she could speak to it in really simple, easy to understand terms that she knew that would connect with me emotionally and in a human way, to get me to say, this is how. Just imagine if you felt this way, if somebody or something made you feel this way. This is what happens, when you put your hand, when you beat a woman, or when you curse at her, when you're verbally abusive, when you lie to her, when you're not there for her. So she was able to, she gave me a sensitivity because she allowed me to look at the world through the prism of someone else. Because even as a black man, we still operate in a very patriarchal society. Whatever I mean by patriarchy,
run by men.
Sexist, thank you. Yeah, sexist, misogynistic. Run by men, Keith. Thank you. You said it better than me. Run by men. And look, and men tend to look at the world through that prism because they are, and our society forever has conditioned us. The laws were written by men. Like I said, listen, you wouldn't have needed Roe versus Wade, Key, if men delivered children. If we had to carry the light, if we had to go through vaginal births, C-sections, ectopic pregnancies, breech babies.
That would have been the first law of the Supreme Court, the first case of the Supreme Court ever.
Key, it wouldn't be a law. You could go to the corner store, the tavern on the corner,
and get an abortion.
You could go to Walmart and get a 6-pack of beer and an abortion. Dude walk in, yo man, give me a 6-pack of Bud, give me some Heineken Light, give me a 6-pack. Oh, I need this AB. But listen, dude, the game coming on in 30 minutes. Can we do this quick? And I'm not making light of it.
No, but it's true.
It would be no conversation. Men would never tolerate anybody telling them what they could do with their body. They would look at you like you got two heads. They'd be like, have you lost your damn mind? Listen, ladies, men, we really, when it comes to macho physical stuff, boxing and MMA fighting, football, we love physical stuff, but we really don't like pain. We can't, like the pain that you all can deal with, childbirth. Listen, Key, I'm gonna let you all on a little secret. Man, we can't stand to be constipated. A hard bowel movement and we're about to pass out. So can you imagine childbirth, vaginal?
I cannot with you today, Geno.
I'm just keeping it real. I don't care what. Look, I'm a man, and any man that says, "Oh, that end, he lying," he lying. I guarantee you, men could childbirth. Listen, how many times men have been in the room and see the baby come through the birth canal and through the vagina and come into the world and faint.
Yeah.
Just standing there
Yeah.
watching it. How the hell you think this woman feel? And your ass, you can't even stand there and look at it.
Yeah, listen, I had the privilege of epidural.
Well, oh, wait a minute. Yeah, please. Oh, yeah, fellas. Yeah, tell them what. See, you use the fancy medical term. Tell them exactly what that is, Key.
Oh no, it's a needle that they put in your back about I can't even get my arm high enough.
That long,
It's
right?
so long that they make you turn your head.
Wait.
So you never see it. And they put it up your spine in your spine
Ooh,
and it's
ooh, and you gonna make me.
and wait a minute. And here are the instructions. Don't move.
How the hell you don't? Wait a minute. You sticking
Don't
you sticking.
don't move.
Wait, so you sticking a needle that's longer than a broomstick? It's like the thing. It's so long. They gotta stand in another room. It's that long,
Yes, sir.
and you're not
Yes, sir.
supposed to move.
No. No.
And
You
what?
gotta be
And explain why. So why did they give women this
and they
epidural?
give you that so you do not feel the pain of childbirth.
Well, shit, the needle seemed like it's worse than the
Listen,
the
I
childbirth.
couldn't, him and Geno, I couldn't tell you because I didn't feel a thing. My bestie was watching they have a monitor that tells the body when the contractions are happening because when you have the epidural, you don't have the screaming and the hollering and from all the contractions.
Okay.
So they have a monitor that tells you that, ooh, you having a big contraction, even though you don't feel it.
Wow.
So my bestie is looking at the monitor. She said, "Oh, we better call the nurse." I said, "Oh, what's happening?" She said, "Girl, that baby." And sure enough, they come running in, and it was showtime. But I had no
You
sense
couldn't feel
of
nothing.
nothing,
Wow.
nothing,
Wow.
not one bit of pain.
So for me, in closing, Key, I think you said it best, because we are living in a time now, and look, and I do stand up, so I get it.
Yeah.
But we are just living in a different time now, and what's funny to you may
That's
not be
right.
funny to me, and what's not offensive, we as a man, I have male privilege, even though I'm a black man, and my privilege is like on a scale. It ain't white male privilege, but
Right.
as privilege, I have as a black man, I have male privilege. Allie told me something about a month ago, and it really, I felt bad. I felt bad for her, and her and I talked about it because we talked about her safety and going to school, and we giving her some instructions on what to do to stay safe. And she just said, I'm paraphrasing, she said, I don't think that's so unfair, and I hate that she said, Dad, you don't have to worry about being attacked or assaulted physically or anything like that. And I said, wow, she's right. I
Yeah.
walk outside at night. I don't, that thought, being assaulted, being sexually assaulted, raped, anything,
Right.
never in my life. I've never walked in any space and worried about somebody gonna try to assault me or rape. Never.
Right.
So that's
But
what I mean when I
but
say
you
privilege.
do know what it feels like to be a black man in a car in a white neighborhood, or
and you see them blue Mars lights
that's
behind your
right.
ass, right? And
So that's the same trauma
yes,
that we feel when we're just walking to the car after the party.
right. And Dave did close it by talking about empathy, and he tied it in a beautiful story. Actually, he did it beautifully. There
Don't
is
tell it. Don't
Yeah,
tell us.
he talks about a transgender that he had a very special relationship with, and I'll leave it at that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Daphne.
that's must see TV.
Must see TV. All right, so
Yeah.
we're gonna segue pretty quick because I know
Okay.
you got to run, and I got to talk about this, and I want to do it under the headlining, the caption, the headline of bullying, which is something that I take personal, and I'm going to share. First, let me just give you the headline, Key, and then I'm going to quickly share a story
Okay.
why this really resonated with me. So you may have heard there's a kid, 18-year-old kid. He was a senior in high school. Because he can't go to school now. Timothy Simpkins in Arlington, Texas. That's near Dallas. Timber View High School. So apparently, according to his family and others, that this kid Timothy had been bullied. Apparently, his parents had a little money, so he would dress nice. He had money all the time. He was able to drive a nice car to school. And some of the kids at the school, they bullied him. He had been robbed. As a matter of fact, he had been now allegedly, according to the people in his family, he had allegedly been pistol whipped the day before this incident where he shot another student. But he had been robbed twice and had been constantly bullied by this one kid that he shot, who was actually 15 years old, but was physically bigger than the 18-year-old senior, Zacchaeus Selby. Now,
Zacchaeus, that's his name.
Zacchaeus Selby is an 18-year-old kid accused of bullying, allegedly, according to the kid the shooter, was pistol whipped. So supposedly this Selby kid pistol whipped the Simpkin kid.
And he retaliated.
And had been in on robbing or helping to rob. It's still, there are a lot of stories out there, but that's the general narrative coming out of Arlington, Texas.
And so this is a case of, it's allegedly, it's no fun when the rabbit got the gun.
Exactly. And so you've seen Timothy Simpkins' family and their family spokesperson and the family of Zacchaeus Selby. They say, listen, well, he was the victim, and he's in the ICU unit. He was shot 4 times. So he was a victim. But bullying is something that we don't take serious enough.
Right.
It's been going on forever.
And, see, we and so I'm gonna see it like this, through this prism. The world is still catching up to the abuse of women, let's say, right? But we can understand when a woman who's been beat or verbally abused, mentally abused for so long, and one night a partner decides to attack her, and she pulls the gun, right?
Right.
We understand that. This is the same thing, in a way. Constant brutalization where you're scared to go to school. You're scared to walk to the bus stop. You're scared. You can't even get up in the morning and eat a bowl of cereal and get out the door because you're scared. You're scared in the hallway. What is this person going to do to you? So it's that constant abuse that then produces the irrational thought of shooting someone. You can't take it anymore. Now, I'm not saying that's what happened, because this is all alleged, but I'm saying if it did happen the way that it has been reported, Geno, what do you do?
And let me say, I want to share a story. But before I share this story, let me say this. The way this kid responded to being bullied was wrong. He should not have carried a gun to school.
Right.
All right. So
And his parents said as much.
Right. And I'm not advocating for that in any way. But Key, I'm gonna be very honest, and I'm gonna share something on camera publicly that I've never shared before. I was almost Timothy Simpkins when I was 11 years old. So there was a kid next door. And the ironic thing is that, because my grandparents my grandparents raised us, so we lived, me and my 2 sisters and my mother and my grandparents all lived in the same house. So the woman next door, Miss Irving, Miss Willa, was my grandmother's best friend. Her oldest son was a guy named Tony Irving. Now I'm 11. This dude was about 6'4", 6'5". Then I'm 11. I'm like 6'1" now. I wasn't anyway. I was maybe 5'5" at 10, if that. So this dude's probably a foot taller than me. And he would always like do little stuff, try to, pick on me and, and I'd be like, now, I
You did
was
the.
I was taught never start a fight, always end it. And I would try to avoid fights. I would even, I would walk away and people would try to push me because I would always try to avoid a fight, Key, if for no other reason because my grandparents and my mother, they would send me to school dressed very nice. I had a cousin just passed away, rest in peace, power in paradise, the cousin Rosalie. Rosalie worked. So here's an interesting story, Key. You're there in Detroit. Jerry Wexler, who was Aretha Franklin's.
Aretha Franklin.
Right. My cousin Rosalie, she was like the housekeeper and she took care of his kids in suburban Chicago. So I would get a lot of, obviously he had a son and they were buying these very expensive clothes. And when he outgrew them, they would give them to cousin Rosalie. Well, her son, who's been a guest on my show, is our military expert. He was, because Sonny is, I don't know, 7, 8 years older than me. So he couldn't wear them. She would give me the clothes. So the point I'm trying to make is that, so here it is, my grandmother's best friend's oldest son would bully me from time to time. And I don't know what happened, Keith. And I called my mother just to verify. I knew I was either 10 or 11. So I was 11 years old. I do remember it was in the summer. It was warm in Chicago, so it had to be in the summer. I don't know what month, if I do remember, but it had to be somewhere between June and September, because I do remember being out of school. And so I lived in a 2-flat building. They lived in a 2-flat building next door. And there was like a wooden fence that was like in between the two apartment buildings. And for one reason, this dude was starting to bully me, and I'm like, what, leave me alone, go away. And there was a fence, and I for some reason, I'm standing like right against this fence, and he pushed me, and I flipped over this fence, Key. So I got up, and I ran like I was Usain Bolt. I bolted up 2 flights of stairs. We lived on the 2nd floor. And I made a left turn, and I went into the room that my mother and my grandmother shared. Now, as kids, we call it ramble. In your parents' drawer, they may send you to look for something. And
Right.
you're curious. You're looking around, rambling. And I had remembered one day from rambling around in the dresser drawers that, my mother had, I noticed a gun. So immediately I remembered it was that instant. Just from the last thing on my mind was a gun or anything. I'm just playing. So Tony Irving is his name. He's gone now. Like he died. Actually, he got killed, which is kind of ironic.
Right.
So I ran upstairs and my mother's like, Jeannie, what's wrong with you? Where are you going? And she said her instincts, she knew where I was going. But when I got in her room and I opened the drawer key and I'm throwing stuff out, I'm looking for it, and the gun was not there.
Yeah.
And my mother said that the spirit had been telling her like
To move it.
2 days before that happened. And she said the spirit told her like 3 times. And she said the 3rd time it was like, move that gun.
Move that gun.
And she moved it, Key. So I'm sharing that story to say,
It's like a Boys in the Hood, that scene.
yes,
Yeah.
I could have been Timothy Simpkins.
Yeah.
Because and then I couldn't find the gun. And then I tried to run out of the house because I wanted to kill this dude. I was just, and my mother, she reminded me, I didn't remember what I said. She said, you told him, she said, I do remember you said, I'm tired of you. She said, that's the only thing I said. I'm tired of you. And I tried to get back out the house and go after him. Here I am, I'm 10, 11 years old, and I'm trying to go after this.
You had it. I mean,
yeah.
Now I wish more people could handle it like Keela. I didn't seek a gun. That girl in my neighborhood, you know who you are. She would take my eyeglasses off, throw it in the street, and crush them. I had to get, I think I was on the second, third pair of glasses. The next time I said so let me just tell you, she harassed me on the way home from school. When we got to the bridge, the overpass, I said, I grabbed her by her neck, held her head over that overpass, and I said, now look. And the crossing guard was like, oh, Lord Jesus. And to make it stick, I took her shoe and threw it on the freeway. And I said, you next.
Wow.
That's how we need to handle. We need to fight it out.
Right.
Duke it out like we started the show.
And I don't know but I share that story to share that that's how kids snap.
Yes.
Because I snapped. And
I did too.
God saved me. And then after I couldn't find a gun, I didn't give a damn. I became the predator. Because I went looking, my mother, they had to hold me back. And I remember it was like something, it was an out-of-body experience. I was that upset.
Yeah.
But the tragic, I shouldn't say tragic, it's tragic because it shouldn't have taken that to resolve the problem. Right. But after that incident, he never bothered me. He barely would speak. Oh. It was like he was afraid of me. And I'm a little kid, 11. He was probably at least 5 or 6 years older than I was and a foot taller.
Every time I run into her, she like, girl, you just doing so good in life. And I'm saying, yup, and you still alive. So it's a win-win for everybody.
So what I hope,
okay.
What I hope in closing, what I hope that we have to, first of all, teach our children not to bully, to defend.
And that's
stand up for the kid that's being picked on.
Yes.
Make bullying unacceptable in this culture. But we got a culture to where on social media, the videos where somebody's getting beat up and getting bullied, they get the most clicks and likes. You got these reality shows and you see women, intelligent, successful women, black, white, all races, fighting and acting like, what are we doing?
Yeah. And in most cases, it's just drummed up crap for the camera.
Yes.
Most of these women would never act like that in real life because they would get beat down. This is all for the camera, and we believe it.
And we don't celebrate, like I said, we celebrate, the bully. Oh, he's a tough heat man. He about that life. Like, think about the movie Friday. Debo. Oh, Debo.
Yeah, Debo.
It was like,
God rest his soul.
Right. and it took Ice Cube's character to stand up to Debo and whoop Debo's ass. He said, you got knocked the blank out. But we should teach conflict resolution because kids really now, they're not fighting. They're killing, shooting.
Yeah. And the school's answer is about the equivalent to Nancy Reagan, just say no to drugs.
And in so many states like Texas and here in South Carolina, Texas, the governor just passed a law basically to where you don't need to have a permit. You don't need to have a license. It don't matter. You can even be, I think, 18. Just go get a gun. No background check, nothing. Nothing at all. You could have had blood on your shirt. Ain't nobody gonna ask you no question. You got the money, you got a gun. There's something wrong with that, Key. It's something wrong with that. And people are profiting. Politicians are using fear, exploiting fear, generating the fear of black people, fear of brown people, fear of somebody's trying to take your way of life, fear that you're being replaced, this white replacement theory. We're trying to be replaced, so we don't want Haitian immigrants to come here because they're bringing AIDS. That asshole Orange Hitler's talking about, don't let the Haitian immigrants in because they bring in AIDS. I'm not even going to address him. Trust me, that's a whole different show. But that kind of ignorance. And you had, when Barack Obama was first elected, you had all these white people paranoid, scared, going out buying guns. Oh, he's going to take our guns. Like, really? Really? You really think here it is, the economy had crashed. We were damn near in a Great Depression. Folks' homes were being foreclosed. Banks and all these financial institutions were going under. And you think the first thing he had to think about was he's trying to get the Affordable Care Act passed. Right. And y'all worried about, he coming to take our guns. Get the hell out of here. I'm going to let you in on a secret. Like, like Master Sergeant Rory Gray, our military expert. You all watched that episode, remember, because he was talking about the insurrectionists on 1/6. He said, one thing to please understand. He said the United States military will never, ever be outgunned.
That's right.
So you can have an arsenal in your house. I guarantee you,
They will blow you.
right. If
to
the United
moon.
States military, if they really was coming for you, they
coming for
got
you.
some stuff that you don't have. So people you are being hoodwinked and bamboozled and led astray and run amok like Denzel's character, like Malcolm X. In the movie Malcolm X, Denzel Washington, that legendary scene. People are exploiting your fear, ignorance, and hate. Hatred, racism, fear in all its forms, anti-Semitism, sexism, misogyny, patriarchy has always been big business. People are making billions and trillions of dollars off of fear.
Don't let that what happened at the insurrection fool you.
Thank you.
If they really want you, they would have blown that building up and rebuild it later.
Thank you. The 82nd Airborne from that military base right there, I think Campbell Jr. in North Carolina.
That's right.
All right, they would have
would've
jumped on
dropped the
95.
bomb.
They got fighter jets, trust me. They could have, so y'all, that's a whole nother conversation.
Yeah.
But just, and Key, I won't give you the final word, but just, I hoped we got to, in so many ways, we've got to change our culture. And I talked about this with R. Kelly, Key, and I was saying, because a part of me, I feel guilty being a Chicago native. Even though I wasn't living in Chicago. Now, I was in Chicago from 93 to 95. That was when R. Kelly's career first took off. Now, I knew him professionally. I never went to his studio. I didn't work for him. I didn't know he was doing that crazy stuff. And it got worse after he got off in 2008. But my point is, we have got to create a culture to where, because people focus on R. Kelly and Larry Nassar and Bill Cosby and Harvey Weinstein.
Right, you need to be looking in your own house.
Thank you, Key. You thank you. You just took the punchline right there for me. I was gonna say, but we don't focus on Uncle Bob or Uncle Billy. Then you lock him in the back room and say, "Oh, don't let that girl go back there with him."
Right.
No, if Uncle Bob
or Auntie Millie.
Right, or the stepfathers or dads or uncles or nephews. If you see, even if you suspect there's a problem, get help. Men, we've got to change the culture to where if you know, because folks knew, if you know, you need to, as my grandfather had a term, pull his coat. Say, hey man, listen, what we're not gonna do, I know what's going on. So if you need some help, let's get you some help. You don't have the money, we'll find a counselor or therapist. But you either get
before you go, I just want to say my last word is the bullying is not going to stop until parents get themselves together. When a parent can call another parent and say, Bobby Joe is messing with my baby and they got to stop it. And back in my day, the parents would get together and say, now listen, y'all stop this mess. Right now. But now, when you call Bobby Joe's mama, she ready to kick yo.
Right. And
that's the problem.
And that's the point I'm making, Key, is that we have got to do this. We have got to change the culture when it comes to just making any type of abuse, sexual abuse, any kind of abuse unacceptable. And I get it. Hurt people. So if you see somebody hurt, let's help them before they hurt somebody. Can you imagine if somebody would have intervened? Now I know this apparently was R. Kelly's, his sister is the one that molested and hurt him, according to his own brother.
Right.
Who damaged her?
Right.
At what point do we step in as a community and as a culture and say, stop. Let's get them some help. But what we will not accept and tolerate, I don't care how bad you've been hurt. Let's get you fixed. But you cannot hurt somebody else. You cannot bully somebody else. If you are angry because your parents got divorced, or if you are angry and you're wrestling maybe with your whatever it is, your identity. I mean, kids are just angry for so many reasons. Maybe you lost a parent, or you got a parent that's sick, or you're seeing, domestic violence, whatever it is. Get them help. But because when we change the culture, Key, and when we stop clicking on these videos, celebrating people, stop celebrating the
Fighting.
bullies,
Yeah.
and celebrate the people that stand up for the bullies. I mean, stand up to the bullies and stand up to those who are less powerful. Whatever it is, stand up for the gay, lesbian, or trans kid that's being bullied. Stand up for the black kid or Hispanic kid, or maybe the white kid that's being bullied. The kid that's skinny, maybe the kid that has health problems, that wears glasses, is not the cool kid that hangs out with the cool crowd. When we protect the most vulnerable, that's the honorable thing. But we've got to change that culture, Key, because we don't celebrate that at all. We just don't.
Yeah, I don't play that because the kids on my street know Miss Keela. My daughter would be. She used to be like, "Mom, what you just going out? They just having fun." Because I'm like, well, they look like they wrestling a little too tough. Because Miss Keela come outside like, ain't none of that over here. You go home. You go home. Or I'm going down there and talking to your parents. Okay.
My mother was like that. My mother and my grandparents were like, and I'm the
Yeah,
same way.
We need to hire retired individuals instead of welcome to Walmart. They need to be at the 3:00 bell, standing outside of these schoolyards, saying, "Take it home."
Key, that's a great idea. Or like saying,
Okay.
"Wait a minute, what's wrong? Come y'all now. Here, y'all come here. What's the problem? What's wrong with you?
Right.
What you mad about? What happened? And what you mad about? What the heck is wrong
That's
with both
right.
of y'all?" Right.
Some of these retired military folks and police officers and some of our retired teachers need to be out there with the 3:00 bell, baby. It'll be all good.
I wish my grandmother and grandfather could come, because my grandmother, she would take her 2 fingers and get you behind the ear and like, "Come here, boy. What's wrong with you?" And my grandfather would just take him to the baseball game. He would take literally the whole neighborhood. I mean, a little short black man on the bus or on the L with like 14, 15 little black kids. Just the whole neighborhood. And the ones that didn't have money, he didn't care. If they didn't have money, he would pay for them to get in. He would buy them snacks, hot dogs, or peanuts, or whatever. It didn't matter. If they didn't have money, they wanted to go, they could still come along. That's what we need.
The parents, the big people have to get involved.
Absolutely.
And that's the bottom line, Geno.
Keela Carson, where can they follow you at? Social media.
Oh, I'm Keela Carson everywhere. You see it right on your screen. I'm Keela Carson on Twitter. I'm Keela Carson on Facebook. I'm Keela Carson on LinkedIn. I'm Keela Carson on Snapchat. Everywhere.
Our mother, before I let you go, our mother.
Yes, hi, Mom.
Chat, she said, "Hi, sugar." She's telling you, "Hi, sugar."
Hi, sugar. I'm coming so Geno can take us to that, what's
Harold.
the chicken?
Harold.
I was going to call him Henry.
We going to go to Harold's, so the 3 of us.
Okay.
So we're going to take you to Harold's and then take you to get some Garrett's popcorn.
Yeah, hey, that's a good day.
Keela Carson, she's simply the best. I love you, Keith. Thank you.
Love
Have a
you,
great
G.
weekend. All right. That's my people right there. I love her. She's simply the best. Thank you for letting me be a part of your life. As always, God bless each and every one of you. God, most of all, thank you for letting me do the Geno Jones Show. I come to you live Monday through Friday, 6:30 p.m. Eastern, 5:30 p.m. Central, 3:30 p.m. on the West Coast. Please subscribe to the Geno Jones channel, part of the Geno Jones Network. Tell everybody you know, even strangers, frenemies, folks that you don't like, don't matter. Aliens, I hear they're around here too. Let them know. Subscribe to the Geno Jones channel right here on YouTube. Share this episode. Go back and share every episode. Copy the link and paste it. Copy and paste the link to the show on YouTube, the YouTube link. You can tag this episode on social media, on people's social media page, like Facebook. You can screen grab some of the commentary, some of the monologue, some of what me and Keith were talking about. You can put it up on TikTok. All my young people, help a brother out. Go ahead and make that viral moment happen for me on TikTok or Triller or Instagram or Twitter. Have a great weekend, everybody. I love each and every one of you. I really do. And Mother, you know I love you more than life itself. Shout out to Mr. Markel Bailey, the official barber and hairstylist for the Geno Jones Show. You can check him out on Instagram, on IG, KLB Cutting Up, KELBECUTTINUP. Shout out to the official stylist and wardrobe consultants for the Geno Jones Show, Alexandria Jones. You can check her out on Instagram, on IG, underscore is that line at the bottom. So line at the bottom, then Lexi, LEXXIE, space one over, Nicole, NICOLE, Lexi underscore, Lexi space Nicole Designs, or Alexandria Jones, ALEXANDRIA. And Bruce Gage, you can search him on Instagram and on Facebook, GAGE. G-A-G-E. That's how you spell Gage. G-A-G-E. All right, everybody. Have a great weekend. The next live edition of the Geno Jones Show will come to you right here on this channel Monday, 6:30 p.m. Until then, like I said, I love you. Have a great weekend. And one more thing, I always like to close the show by saying this. Please, you and yours, be blessed. Have a great one. Oh, by the way, I just thought I want to close the show. Brand new video. It's my dude, Larry D. Call him Uncle Larry. Larry Dotson, or Larry D., former lead singer for the Barcades. Got a beautiful new song called Just Sweet. I want to close the show with that video if you don't mind. Have a great weekend again.
Sunshine turns to bad weather, they turn and run. But with you that'll never be the case. That won't be the story of us. Now everything ain't been all rainbows, but never broke our love. We've come so far from where we used to be. It's no longer just just we. Could you ever have dreamed this is where we would be? There's no longer a you and me. Now it's just we.
Been together for so long that we know each other's ups and downs. Finishing each other's sentences before they come out. Look at what we started together. Baby, look at where we at now. Can't believe it all began with a "Can I take you out?" We've come so far from where we used to be. It's no longer just you and me. Now it's just we. Could you ever have dreamed this is where we would be? It's no longer just you and me. Now it's just we.
I'm the paint and you're the canvas.
You're the leaves and I'm the branches.
There is no me without you and vice versa. This one's for the lovers that never left one another. Through the good, the bad, the happy and the sad. They never left your side, they stay.
Oh, this one's for the lovers that never left one another. Through the good and the bad and the happy and sad, they never left your side, they stay.
We've come so far. We've come so far. We used to be. Girl, it's no longer just you and me. Now it's just me. Could you ever have dreamed this is where we would be? It's no longer just you and me. Now so far from where we used to be. It's no longer just you and me. Now it's just we.
Just we.
You and me, girl.
Subscribe and tune in to the next episode of The Geno Jones Show, exclusively right here on YouTube.